Good morning. All right, so today it was actually just me and the Lord today, and He always knows. I'm not telling you this to make you feel any certain way, but He always knows what we need. And so today we were scheduled to read John 8, and the story, the first in John 8, it's the adulterous forgiven. And let me tell you, like I went to sleep last night, and I was like, Lord, you know, this story has been taught so much that I think sometimes we take it for granted, or that we just don't search deeper, and or it just becomes surfacey level or something like that, but it doesn't, really make its mark. And I really was like, Lord, like I want it to make its mark. I woke up this morning and I had this like thought about imprint, like what that we're human. And as humans, we can feel, we know our frailties, we know our finite state, and that we strive so hard to make a mark because we know that we're only on the earth for just a little bit of time before we're in eternity forever. And as Christians, that's where the striving ends, because we know that this isn't it. But the world is striving to make a mark, to have their name mean something. And Jesus left an eternal mark. And he left it in the sand for this woman. And so anyway, I'm going to read through John 8. This might be longer today. If you watch this, that's great. If not, that's, the Lord will lead you. If you're watching this, then you're here, right? Anyway, so John 8 starts out with, I'm going to start with verse 2, because verse 1 is actually a continuation of chapter 7. So I'll just start with verse 2. At dawn, Jesus went to the temple complex again, and all the people were coming to him. He sat down and began to teach them. So I stopped here because two things struck me. That the people were coming to him. I have been in relationships where the burden to pursue was only on me, and it became heavy. And I'm experiencing that now with someone just in my family, and it's become heavy. And I love that the people were coming to Jesus, because it says that he was crucified, from the beginning, that he had already made his pursuit in the beginning. And that pursuit was a heavy burden. That pursuit looked like a cross on his back. He bore the burden of pursuit so that we would pursue him without having any feeling of obligation, but purely out of love. And then he sat down. And he began to teach them. the God of the universe, he sat down in the midst of his creation and he taught him about himself because he wants to be known. He wants to be known by you. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Then the scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman caught in adultery, making her stand at the center. Teacher, they said to him, this woman was caught in the act of committing adultery. In the law, Moses commanded us to stone such a woman. So what do you say? The woman is a picture of Israel. It was a picture of his people, of his bride, of me. You know, before I even opened this, a song came to me. And I called him the lifter of my head. Because I am that woman. The woman that the enemy wants to accuse. The woman that stands in the center. We stand, or, I see the court of heaven. And the enemy wants to put us at the center and say, look at this adulterous bride. Do you see her idols? Do you see her pursuit of man? Do you see her pursuit of things wicked? Do you see her? What do you have to say? The enemy wants to know, what does Jesus have to say? From the beginning of time, Jesus already spoke his mercy and his grace, and he was showing it to us. What do you have to say? I love that they say, this woman was caught in the act of committing adultery. Isn't that the conviction, the mercy and the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ? When he storms on in a passionate fury of love, and just undoes the mess that we make. Because I have found that that when I feel condemned, when I feel that it's unbelief really, just unbelief in the blood, and I find myself retreating. I retreat. And, it's so silly because I know what's going on. I know that I'm trying to wear these fig leaves, But it's like this adulterous woman trying to leave her home. I think of Hosea. She keeps trying to leave. But you're so caught up in his net of love that no matter where you go, catches you in the act. And man, it's in His grace. It's in His grace that He catches you in the act of wanting to leave, or of wanting to hide, or of so what do you have to say? They ask, what do you have to say? You know, they they didn't even know. They didn't know, they didn't understand that Israel, the bride, was being caught in the act. They didn't even know that they were condemning themselves when they spoke the law of Moses. Because according to the law, they say that the law of Moses commanded us to stone such a woman. And they asked this to trap him, in order that they might find evidence to accuse him. According to the law, that's what the adulterous woman, that's the judgment. But Jesus sat down at dawn, at the beginning of time, so that the enemy would have to say, what do you say? Because Jesus has the final word. Because He has the final authority. He has the final word. Okay, so Jesus stooped down. This is in, where am I at? 6, sorry. Jesus stooped down and started writing on the ground with His finger. He made an imprint. Jesus made an imprint. He made an imprint. He made a mark, so that all that are in Him would also make a mark. And that mark is of mercy. That mark is of grace. That mark is of love. That's the mark that we're supposed to leave on this earth. When they persisted in questioning Him, He stood up and said to them, "The one without sin among you should be the first to throw a stone at her." He was protecting her. Do you feel like, when I read that, I heard like the roar, this growl coming from the belly of Jesus. The one who is without sin should be the first to throw a stone at her. Well, all have sinned, and all have fallen short of the glory of God. And the only one who had the authority and the right to throw a stone stooped down again. He took a humble position again, and continued making His mark in the sand. When the Pharisees heard this, they left one by one, starting with the older men. Only He was left with the woman in the center. When Jesus stood up, He said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" I think we're going to have to, part of the reason why I love doing these is because I need to hear this. This is the bride. As you're walking down the aisle as a bride, everything in your past is being left in the path. You come up to the altar, and there is no fault in you, because Jesus walked that walk up the aisle, and he walked it for you. He walked it. So now we have a wedding, and the priest says, whoever objects, speak now or forever hold your peace. I wonder if the Father is saying that. But guess what? No one can speak anything, because Jesus has already said, you are not allowed to throw a stone unless you are without sin. And I stand here next to my bride. I'm the only one with her. And I see that she is flawless and without sin. Because he bore the weight of pursuit so that she could pursue him. What mark are we leaving? When Jesus stood up, he said to her, woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? No one, Lord, she answered. Neither do I condemn you, said Jesus. Go, and from now on, do not sin anymore. Go. We are commissioned to go, and to be that mercy, to be that grace, and to show the world the mark that Jesus has made on the soil of our hearts. You know, when you plant a seed, you have to dig at the earth. Jesus was planting a seed that day. And he's planting a seed. Anyway, I really encourage you to read over this. Put some silky music on. Pray. There is joy in the pursuit. And this is a time when we need joy. I know I need it. I've been reading through Philippians and clinging on to those words. But let me tell you this. It's mercy and love that chases out the accuser. It's conviction that brings us face to face with the love and mercy of God. And you know, it's interesting. Chapter 8. 8 meaning new beginnings. A new beginning for his bride, so that she could go and sin no more, because she is married to the one who has covered her sins. Anyway, I love you all, and I pray that you are blessed, but I really encourage you. There's so much more. There's so much more in these words as for your heart. That was what I needed to hear. That was what the Lord chose to teach me today and to show me today. I'll talk to you guys later. And that's all I have. All right. Love you. Bye.